let's see what we're doing. We're back here with the Ace Attorney Duel Destinies, where last time we got into the very beginning of this case, made one or two good points, didn't actually get into any like proper testimony where we got a good objection out or anything like that. Just one note I had, it probably doesn't mean anything, but we don't have the poster, do we, where it's all like, I gotta make it back alive. Starbuck's eyes seemed a little more blue than the gray they appear here in that poster thing, but it's probably just because the whole thing is sort of translucent and bluely lit. But figured I'd point it out, because you never know when something I think is irrelevant is actually important. Anyway, what, Blackwell? Prosecution's thoughts on why they would bring the body all the way back to the lounge if they killed him in the rocket. The prosecution is claiming that the defendant moved the victim's dead body. But what if the entire premise of that argument is wrong? Then let's hear your theory, Mr. Justice. The defense proposes that the defendant didn't kill the victim. He was helping him. Bet you didn't see that one coming. My client didn't kill them. All right, explain it for our sad friend here before I nod off to his monotone monologue. That better not be a joke about how I only have one eye at the moment. Inform him exactly why Spaceboy moved the victim. We're not playing Omori anymore, sir. Huh? They've got to be joking. It's simple. Mr. Starbuck did what he did to direct suspicion away from himself. He wanted to create the impression he heroically risked his life to save his partner. That's why he made sure to make it to the security cameras there'd be a record. At the very least, he appears to have achieved success with you and the old man. One man carrying the other to safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship. The average person wearing a spacesuit weighs easily over 200 pounds, saving the life of a partner who weighs as much while trying to escape deadly flames. What a dramatic sob story fit for the silver screen. Indeed, I was completely taken in by the humanity of the story. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. There's no way he was dead to carry 200 pounds on one arm while you're in a spacesuit and asteroids in the other. You see? Yet the true ending is that all traces of his hammy act were meant to be blown up. Yes, and now we arrive at the thrilling conclusion. The third explosion. Objection! What are you talking about? There was no third explosion. Silence! That's what I'm getting at. There was supposed to be. You ruined my awesome contradiction. Indeed, you are correct. But that is thanks to Detective Arm. It was she who identified and secured the bomb. However, it doesn't change the fact that the third bomb was discovered in the lounge. This must be the one that blows up during this trial. The one that we retrieved. The steel coffin beside the witness stand. That would be a bomb transport case. We used that to transport the deactivated bomb here. It was found in the lounge. A bomb in the form of a most distasteful toy. Distateful, sorry. This bomb is going to overthrow the state, Your Honor. I recommend we arrest it at once. What? One on the second floor of the main building, one on the launch pad, and one in the lounge. Which one of those is not one of these? Second floor of the main building, launch pad, okay, so there's supposed to be one here as well. Sorry, here. But there was one here and here. Something with things weird about that, but I can't place what yet. The defendant planned to set off 3 firework displays. Something about where the police were stationed weirds me out about that. Fortunately, the third was discovered before it could be detonated, for had it not, the victim's body and other vital evidence would surely have been immolated. But the victim's body was found in the... Oh no, that's what you're saying, right? Because the bomb did go off on the second floor. Sorry, I've got it now. Objection! Objection! Ah! You didn't even let me chance it. Before you utter a word, know that the evidence supports me. It's like he's reading my mind. As it is still undergoing forensic investigation, I do not have the evidence on hand. What? Then how can you be sure it supports you? However, know that a peculiar item was found in one of Mr. Starbuck's pockets. A detonator! Specifically, a bomb detonation switch. Oh, really? You found a remote bomb detonator switch on the person who was in the same building as the other person who he said couldn't have done it because they weren't close enough. What a shocker! You found what? I suspect the defendant had no time to destroy such damning evidence when the Space Center director and Detective Arm stumbled across the murder. So he thought to hide it in his pocket. Feeble-brained that he is. As he is, you mean, right? No! Mr. Starbuck would never do anything like that! You know, he's like presently without an eye for the moment. You're just doing everything you can to try and, like, traumatize him. Justice, don't know. Open your eyes and see the truth. Again with the eyes stuff. This appears to be irrefutable evidence that the accused set off the explosions. What? No. There has to be some kind of mistake. This can't be the truth. Still can't accept it. You'll believe in your client, come what may. Then why don't you cross-examine the defendant himself? This has got to be a trap. It's like Blackwell's controlling the entire game. Yeah, it seemed like he was waiting for me to bring up the body-moving issue. Why do you say that? Because he had just the right argument when I pointed it out. And to really rub it in, he had a decisive piece of evidence up his sleeve, too. He was trying to shake my faith in Mr. Starbuck and break me down. Oh, sorry. As it's still undergoing forensic investigation, as it is still undergoing forensic investigation, I do not have the evidence on hand, but this detonation switch. So what he's saying is, we don't know whose prints are on it and stuff. And making you cross-examine Mr. Starbuck at this point was part of his plan too? Totally underhanded, but I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Neither would I. I heard that. Now let us hear from the arch-villain, the fiendish murderer himself, famed astronaut, Solomon Starbuck. I'm into this, actually. I want to hear all about what he says happens. Witness your name and occupation, please. As if this guy could be anything but an astronaut. I'm an accountant. Solomon Starbuck, astronaut. How did this happen? Mr. Starbuck, you aren't looking very well. Will you be able to give testimony? No. Well, unfortunately, no is not an option. You are being accused of the Space Center bombing and the murder of Clay Terran. Please testify to these allegations. Mind if I take this suit off? It's getting really heavy. Silence! It's not the weight of the suit that you feel, but of your sins. Prepare to carry that weight for the rest of your life. Banish me to the moon. I don't care anymore. Wow, that was super negative. Is it gonna be alright up there? He'll be fine, I think. As long as he doesn't totally give up and say he did it, that is. Which, I mean, even if he does, we've been through that before and it's been alright. I didn't kill him. Oh, good for you. This is always a good start. Walkie. Sorry, witness testimony. I didn't kill him. All I did was support Clay over my shoulder and get us out of the rocket. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. Clay had passed out by the time we got to the order to evacuate. This is a new animation. I didn't kill Clay. I was trying to save him. That more or less fits with what our understanding was. So you assert you didn't set off the bombs or murder the victim? Bet you think, but I bet you think I'm lying, right? I reserve all judgment until after I've heard your full testimony. That was my full testimony, man. I'm sure you don't believe me. I bet you don't even believe I'm an astronaut. I don't think the judge doubts that. Who'd wear a suit like that except an astronaut? I will say that when I saw you in that movie, you appeared quite courageous, though I suppose reality never quite lives up to the fantasy. I guess I'm just a big disappointment. Oh. I really don't care what happens anymore. Oh no, he's completely given up. It's someone else sighing, not him. Sigh. What a depressing fellow. If he were to join me in the clink, well, it was him, so why'd they give question marks? I imagine that annoying sighing of yours would rub off on the other inmates. Like how it rubbed off on Prosecutor Blackwell a second ago? Oh, that was him. Oh, okay. Huh? That was Blackwell sighing? Mr. Starbuck's testimony contains a glaring contradiction. The question is, what does it mean? Even if Mr. Starbuck is my client, I can't be gun-shy now. It's time to find out the truth. I didn't actually notice it, so I'm going to have to pay closer attention. I thought that all lined up with what we were thinking, and I was going to have to press a bit more. Glaring contradiction. Usually the contradictions is because, like, they've been tricked by the prosecution themselves, or they're remembering something wrong, and the prosecution knows they'd remember it wrong because it looked differently or something. All I did was support Clay over my shoulder and get us out of the rocket. Like always, I took the elevator down the... Oh, well, the elevator was, like, on fire, right? Yeah, sorry, I don't think you took the elevator down. It was very on fire. Objection! Mr. Starbuck, I need your testimony to be as accurate as possible. Was I not being accurate? No. No, because it's impossible for you to have taken the elevator down to the middle level. What makes you say that, Mr. Justice? Please recall where the bomb went off in Launchpad 1. Also recall that after the explosion, the middle level of the elevator was engulfed in flames. Oh, you're right, which means... He didn't take the elevator. Exactly. The Launchpad's elevator would have been unusable. In other words, he took the stairs. Or just dropped down and broke all his legs. Mr. Starbuck, your statement is decidedly inconsistent with the facts. Oh yeah! I heard someone say at some point that Apollo's theme has a bit of Clavier's theme, isn't it? In it, isn't that right? That something really similar happens in Guilty Love, does it not? I think so. Anyway, jam session over. Mr. Starbuck, your statement is decidedly inconsistent with the facts. What's with the helmet? Mission Command, do you read me? Come in, please. Objection! Can you take off? This is Mission Command. I order you to pay attention! Stop this nonsense and answer my questions, Mr. Starbuck. My helmet. My oxygen tank. Oxygen concentration and body temperature declining. Requesting medical assistance. Can you just answer it, please? We could all be at lunch by now. Mr. Starbuck, we're not in space right now. Please stop pretending you have lost consciousness and stand back up. Buzz Lightyear over here. I apologize, Your Honor. I forgot I was still on Earth. I feel like we all just got a real glimpse of Solomon Starbuck the astronaut. Yeah, he seemed more like an astronaut now than when he was doing all that sighing. Well, I mean, you know, for better or worse. Mr. Starbuck, could you please explain the inconsistency in your statement about how you use the middle level elevator? I was nervous and I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I actually took a different route, I think. A different route? I hope you're able to deliver a straight story this time. Okay, right on it this time. Maybe. No, I mean probably. Probably. It's understandable to be nervous, but let me remind you, accuracy is paramount in court. If you need to take some time, you don't have to say it all just because Blackwell's glaring at you. He does that all the time. Witness testimony. My escape route. Oh, let's see. My escape route. What I said before was a mistake. Wow, the animation on this is awesome. It really does look like he's pantomiming, messing with like a ship's dashboard or whatever. I remember now. I took a different route. Probably, with the capsule and clay in my arms, I made my way down from the upper level. Yeah, I want to hear more about that, by the way. Why were you carrying the asteroid samples? So you're saying you escaped without using the elevator? That's right. There's a ladder that spans the upper and middle levels. It's a ladder? How did you carry him down a ladder? Well, obviously you didn't. He was still alive. Aha! Take that, Blackwell! I used that ladder to get to the middle level. Oh, well, not with both arms taken, you didn't. Luckily, the fire hadn't reached the ladder, so we could make our escape that way. And the capsule you mentioned, I suppose you mean the thing next to Mr. Terran here. Was the capsule that important that you'd risk your life to take it with you? Almost goes without saying, but yeah. That capsule contains asteroid samples, therefore it's invaluable as research material. With his spacesuit on, Clay weighed a ton, but securing the capsule was also important. I need you to answer to the best of your ability. Mr. Starbuck, please remember that your verdict is riding on your testimony. Maybe I am guilty after all. I wonder if you can see the stars in prison. Bet it's more comfortable than a spaceship. I don't know about that. I've never been in either. For any length of time. Cross-examination! My escape route! Alright, so obviously we want to hear most about this. How could you climb a ladder with both things in your hand? Hold it! The upper level of the launch pad area. That's right. That's what I said, isn't it? Granted, that route does exist. So to recap, you had clay over your right shoulder and the capsule in your left hand? Yeah, it's really important, so I couldn't let it get burned up. So even though clay was really heavy, I couldn't afford to carry him with both hands. I did the best I could with him over one shoulder and the capsule in my other hand. I don't think the meaning of what he just said has hit him yet. You know what you have to do with that statement, Justice Dono? Yes, I know. I've come this far, no turning back now. It's time to present some evidence. Okay, so you can just present the cross-section there, I guess. I wanted to make sure it wasn't a press on it, and then it's like, do you have a problem with that, Mr. Justice? So Mr. Starbuck escaped with clay and the capsule, which means it's just like in the footage. I can see why he couldn't run, though. He must have weighed over 200 pounds just by himself. Yeah, and he had to support clay, it was another 200 pounds. Plus he had to ensure the safety of that capsule. I don't think I could even walk under those circumstances. Athena, I've seen you throw an entire person like 30 feet. I think we would have been fine. Walking straight forward is probably about all I would have been able to manage. Not climbing a ladder, crucially. Meaning, this is one of the shortest testimonies we've ever seen. I mean, usually any time you cross-examine an animal, it's pretty short. Anyway, this cross-section, I suppose, shows the ladder, right? Both of these do, really. But additionally, you also maybe couldn't have, well, this is not in question. I was gonna say you couldn't use your fingerprint scanner when you couldn't get a glove off quickly. You have to drop the body, drop the asteroids, take the glove off, do that, and then after all that, we would have expected to find your fingerprints, more of them and stuff. What they're getting at, I'm pretty sure, is the ladder, though, so... Objection! Mr. Starbuck, why don't you just tell the truth? The truth? Let's see. The Earth is blue. No, that's not right. I guess the Earth isn't blue. Yeah, that's it. The truth, Mr. Starbuck.
The oxygen concentration is super low in this area. Very much oxygen tanks.
Mr. Justice, the witness appears confused. Please help draw out the truth from him. Mr. Starbuck, under the circumstances at the time, you couldn't possibly have reached the boarding lounge via the upper level route. Not as long as this was along the escape route. The ladder! Take that! To get down from the upper level to the middle level where the launchpad corridor is, you have to go down the ladder. Isn't that right, Mr. Starbuck? Of course. That was the only way we could escape. Objection! But how would that work? At the time, you were supporting Mr. Terran over your shoulder, were you not? And remember, he was in full space gear as well, putting him at over 200 pounds. Well, it's easy on the moon. Gravity is only 1/6 of what it is on Earth. Objection! It wasn't on the moon. But the space center is located on Earth. Short of being an octopus, climbing a ladder with an adult made in space gear in one arm, while carrying the capsule in your other is impossible, wouldn't you say? Oh. So I guess what we're gonna get at here is that Terran was still alive at that point. Must have been. So, Mr. Starbuck, how exactly did you climb down that ladder with your arms full? Right. They were both had to be alive if that was going down. Either that or one of them died falling off the ladder trying to carry it the other way. Well, one of them, Terran. He's obviously the one who's dead. Mr. Starbuck, come clean and tell us the truth. Now!
Engineer! Why is it engineer? Oxygen detected due to faulty maintenance. Evacuate immediately!
What does it? He's fine in the coop.
Help! We're caught on the ceiling!
Help. Anyone?
I don't really know how. Bailiff, we're the cherry picker. We must launch a rescue mission at once.
Well, that's one way to take off while being questioned. I'd rather prove his innocence so we can go to space again someday for real. Why is he lying about all this? Is it just trauma and anxiety? Could be. I would believe it.
Now then, Mr. Starbuck, do you think you can keep your feet planted on the ground?
Yes. I apologize for losing control. Are you ready to tell us the truth?
Not that. Anything but that.
What is going on? This isn't the Mr. Starbuck I know. It appears Space Boy is prone to deception. Witness!
Yikes.
Yes? I thought your story odd, but perhaps the inconsistencies can be explained as the result of a medical side effect.
Ah! Prosecutor Blackwell, please don't talk about that.
Oh, is he worried he's not going to be allowed to go in space if this medical condition comes to light, whatever it is? What are you talking about, Prosecutor Blackwell? Didn't I already state that Space Boy is, ironically, terrified of going into space? That's why he took some precautions just before the launch. For you see, traces of this anti-anxiety drug were found in his system. Oh, I sense things are about to nosedive. Hold it! He got it all wrong. I told him during the investigation, too. I don't know anything about drugs. I never took any medication, I swear. It was found in his system, but he doesn't remember taking it? Well, if he doesn't remember taking it, then I would highly recommend looking into the side effects of this drug. So that we know whoever poisoned him with it, what they were trying to get. How could that be? Somebody must have slipped them to me. But I guess maybe that's why I don't remember. Because of the side effects. Yeah, that's why I don't remember much about what really happened. What? This is what I'm saying. That would explain a lot. Order! Order in the court! Well, we can't get any useful testimony out of him if he doesn't remember anything. Well, it certainly explains why his testimony kept changing. Why didn't he just tell me he couldn't remember? I guess he didn't want anybody to find out he was terrified of going into space. Well, that was already came to light. Maybe I really did do it. Which brings us to the answer of our original question. Of how the witness climbed down the ladder with a dead body. It does? So what is it? A dead man feels no pain and makes no complaints, Justice Dono. Therefore, you can throw them down ladders. So the body was simply dropped down from the top of this ladder. Did he find any bruising on it, huh? Let's see. Autopsy report. Cause of death, stabbing. The victim was discovered in the third floor boarding lounge of the main building. And here's a nice, lovely photograph. Do you see any bruising? Professor Blackwell? Prosecutor Blackwell? Oh, my! I see. And then the defendant could climb down with his free hand. Objection! Drop the body down. Who would do such a disrespectable thing? Besides, dropping the body down would leave marks on the body itself. So you are capable of quick thinking. Yes, you are correct. Really? Thanks. What's this? It's the oxygen tank from the victim's spacesuit. It's ruptured, and I'm sure you can figure out why. Okay. Sure, it broke when he fell down. If you fell from like 40 feet, there would be bruises on your back. If you fell on your back to break the tank. Those tanks are not made of paper mache, Blackwell. If that suddenly jammed into your back because you fell from like 40 feet, you'd be like breaking a spine. You can't be implying it ruptured when the defendant dropped the victim's body. I am, for they fracture easily when struck. Objection! Even if that's true, the tank's explosion and the shrapnel would leave its mark on the body. Yet, according to the autopsy report, only the knife wound was found on the victim's body. You're clearly grasping at straws with this line of reasoning. Silence! I'm not, nah. A spacesuit isn't heavy for the sake of being heavy, Justice Dono. It includes the latest technological devices and is made of the fabric of tomorrow. The fabric is made to protect astronauts from the dangers of space. So falling a few Earth yards would hardly leave a mark on the wearer. But a pocket knife can cut through it. Get real. Objection! Objection! Then shouldn't it be impossible to stab someone through it as well? It should. And yet, through sheer coincidence, the knife slipped through a weak spot in the suit's structure and found its way to its target. You have a mental age of 4 years old, and I can't believe you made it this far as a prosecutor. Oh, it just happened, alright? What are the chances? You forget that our killer is an astronaut himself with knowledge of how the suits work. He's got me there. No, don't fall for that, Apollo. Go away. No, sorry. It's 10:50 a.m. on Sunday, June 25th, if you'd like to know. I accidentally brought down the Android menu. I mean, poppycock. You'd never be allowed into space with something that could... Oh, it's got a weak point on the front. If an astronaut happens to bump into something from the front, they're dead. And now my argument has been proven. It has been nothing of the sort, my good sir. Spaceboy killed the victim in the rocket and then dropped his body from the upper level. After climbing down, he shouldered the body and made sure the camera recorded them. There's no room for debate about these facts. There sure is. It is clear that Solomon Starbuck is the only one who could have killed Clay Terran. Here, the report regarding the astronauts' oxygen tanks. Consider it my send-off gift. Feel free to use it as payment to cross the river Styx. Oxygen tank data added to the court record. God, I mean, I gotta pay mad respects again to how impressive it is that they translated those 2D animations into a 3D model. Like the way his lip deforms like that and everything. Hey, this report's pretty detailed. Yes, I'd like a look at it. It says something about the victim's tank was ruptured with 0% left. The defendants had 80%. So, am I given to understand that we don't have the photograph with... Oh, no, we do. It's this. That this number is not a percentage, but like a measure of liters? Or is Blackwell just a dirty, rotten, stupid liar? A big fat dummy. Defense at 80%. Remaining oxygen is displayed on the left shoulder. Objection. And what other details are there? The display on the astronaut's left shoulder shows the oxygen remaining. After the incident, the victim's tank was ruptured, remaining was 0%. The tank belonging to Starbuck, who claims to have carried the victim, said it was 80% full. Tanks were functioning properly at the time. And this report's pretty detailed. Yes. Let's see. The display on the astronaut's left shoulder shows how much oxygen remains. I guess that means these glowing cyan digits represent this amount of oxygen remaining. I'm done for. I'm going to prison instead of going to space. Space boy. Yes. Take heart. The bejeweled night sky is still beautiful even when viewed through bars. You mean the stars as seen from prison? That's right. Your cell will be your spaceship. Picture the view through the iron bars. It's like being an astronaut in your own craft for all time. That's not a half-bad thought. Mr. Starbuck! Prosecutor Blackwell gotta do him good. Spaceship prison cell. Fly me, my guilt, and my despair into the deepest, darkest space. And then, let's get sucked into a black hole together. Objection! Mr. Starbuck, you can't give up hope. Oh. Yes, Apollo? You know, Clay really looked up to you. He said you're an incredible man. He said you'd never give up your dreams and passion for space, no matter the situation. He said that? So don't give up now, and help me prove your innocence. For the sake of the man who respected you and believed in you, Clay Terran. For Clay? You're wasting your breath. Much like he was, apparently, because the numbers rate 30% less than what it actually was supposed to have. You don't have to shout like that, though. That's really obnoxious. Apollo, thank you. I can see things clearly now. Mr. Starbuck! I'm fine now. Thanks for reminding me of my life's mission. Right. We'll both be fine. I'll prove you're innocent. You'll see. And after that, we'll get you back into space. Yeah! You've ignited the booster rockets of my soul! I'm on fire! I don't think you should say that with recent happenings. I am Solomon Starbuck, astronaut, a cosmic hero chosen by the universe itself. I'm glad we got his spirits back so, quickly. This is no time to be whimpering and crying. I can't let you and Clay down. Balderdash. The sun. The moon. All of space is calling to me. Solomon Saul Starbuck. Ready for launch. Begin the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off! You don't have to swim into space, I don't think. Oh, it's working. Incredible. He really is the chosen one. Well, I feel like I've witnessed an actual rocket launch. Apollo, you did it! You broke Prosecutor Blackwell's grip over Mr. Starbuck. I can't take the credit. It was all Mr. Starbuck. He pulled himself through. A few simpletons are done massaging one another's egos. No matter how positive your mood, my advantage remains unshakable. I have but to wait for the final guilty verdict. Isn't that right, your baldness?
I can't let up now. I have to stop Blackwell. I have to see this through. Mr. Starbuck just has to make it back into space. It won't allow Clay's dream to remain unfulfilled. I've got to destroy Blackwell's argument somehow. Think, Justice, think. If the only people at Launchpad 1 were Clay and Mr. Starbuck, and if Clay was already dead by the time this footage was taken, then the only person who could have killed him is Mr. Starbuck. So the only, or an accident, but that seems hard to accidentally stab oneself. So the only way to counter Blackwell's argument is to, if I can prove Clay that Still is still alive when they arrived at the boarding lounge. In which case, I should be able to find some contradiction in the space evidence itself. In the space evidence? What the hell? What am I talking about? So they're getting at the oxygen tanks. I'm not sure exactly what that demonstrates, though. That he used some of his oxygen to help keep Clay alive, I guess. It's the only explanation for what could have gone wrong with it. Now, let's see. About this data that we just received. This supposedly proves that Mr. Starbuck dropped Clay's body in Launchpad 1. But if I'm going to prove that false, then there must be something I can use here.
Enough of this farce, your baldness. Let's have your verdict.
Objection! Prosecutor Blackwell, you seem to be in quite a hurry to rush the verdict. But about this oxygen data you submitted just now, it says that Mr. Starbuck's tank had 80% remaining while Mr. Terran's had 0. Do you stand by the accuracy of this report?
Of course.
Then I guess it simply means that it's faulty, as evidence goes.
You will explain what you mean, Justice Dono?
It's simple. This evidence contradicts the facts of this case. Take a look here at the detailed description and you'll see what I mean. I hope you have some evidence, Mr. Justice, because I don't see what's so contradictory. Yes, Your Honor, right away. This is the evidence that the oxygen tank report stands in contradiction to. Take that! And how does this evidence present a contradiction? The problem is this part here. 50! Take that! Note the remaining oxygen in Mr. Starbuck's tank as he carries Mr. Terran. It appears to say 50. Yes, but according to the data, our client's tank had 80% remaining. The oxygen in the tank increased. I see Your Honor finds it as strange as I do. It's bad enough that there's a contradiction, but the increase in oxygen is beyond illogical. Oh my, you're absolutely right. What is going on here? If Blackwell has the gall to just say, well, the tank reader was probably wrong. This is space equipment. They don't just leave weak points in the front of the suits, and they don't have faulty readings on oxygen tanks. Oh my, you're absolutely right. What is going on here?
Silence. I too find it odd that the oxygen remaining has increased. It would be as odd as if my rations were to increase. But what does that prove? It doesn't change the fact that it is the defendant carrying the victim's corpse.
Objection! I'm going to bet you don't get more rations because you don't abide by the rules. Either way, the oxygen remaining shouldn't increase, just as your rations don't increase. Therefore, this new information is critical! We can't overlook it!
Silence. In that case, do you have an answer to this riddle of the mysteriously increasing oxygen?
I'm still of the mind that maybe, if our man's Starbuck was drugged in a bad way, and we know Terran cared a hell of a lot about this thing, when was this sample taken? Because to me, it's still weird that, or it's still noteworthy that we don't actually know definitively who is under each helmet. If Starbuck doesn't remember what happened and Clay's dead and can't tell us, it's entirely possible that that is Terran in the right-hand suit. And so then he drained all his, when someone stabbed him, he sucked up all his oxygen, and they also broke the tank. They ruptured the tank, right? So someone stabbed him, smashed that tank, and then we find his body with his tank with 0, and then Starbuck here still has 80. And that explains the contradiction. I would believe that.
You'd better not disappoint, or I'll declare the inconsistency as mere equipment malfunction.
I had a feeling you might. Prosecutor Blackwell has a point. I suppose it could be a simple malfunction.
Mr. Justice, if you cannot provide an adequate counter-argument to this point,
I'm afraid I must bring this trial to an end.
So do you think you can explain why the remaining oxygen level increased?
Of course I can! The thing to do at a time like this is turn my thinking around. Mr. Starbuck has no memory of it, but he claims to have carried Clay. So this man with the 50 on his tank ought to be Mr. Starbuck. But if anything, the display on his oxygen tank should have shown an 80. This is a clear contradiction between the report and the security footage. So what I should be asking is not why did the oxygen level increase,
but which oxygen tank was it actually? Who was there?
But what had to have happened to make it look like it increased? Am I making some kind of a mistake in my base assumptions here?
You are. I've been convinced you are from the start of this case. Well, Mr. Justice, we're waiting.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready to answer. This is why the remaining oxygen appears to have increased. The tanks were damaged, the victim was carrying the defendant.
Yes.
The victim was carrying the defendant! What if it was the other way around?
The other way around? Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice?
As you can see, Your Honor, both men had their helmets on in this footage. But it turns out this is where our base assumptions went astray. We assumed that it was Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Terran, but it was the other way around. It wasn't Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Terran at all. It was Mr. Terran who was helping Mr. Starbuck to the boarding lounge.
It was what? Chatter, chatter. Gobble, gobble. Order! Mr. Justice! You mean to tell me that the person on the right in this victim image is the victim, Clay Terran?
It's the only way the riddle of the increasing oxygen level can be solved, Your Honor.
Don't say faulty equipment, Blackwell. I will throw something at you.
At this point in time, the remaining oxygen in the victim's tank was at 50%. And when the victim was found in the boarding lounge, his tank was at 0%. That's right. There's nothing contradictory about the oxygen level decreasing. This means Mr. Terran was alive as they made their escape to the lounge.
Silence! How short your memory is, if you've forgotten what you yourself proposed. Even if the victim was alive at this point in time, how did he descend the ladder with his arms full?
Objection! Prosecutor Blackwell, you can't hurt me with a broken blade. That's what we call a parry in the Smash Bros. Biz.
Ting! You're open! If Clay was alive, and then Starbuck was surely alive. So they were both alive and just helping each other to the end. So, Starbuck could have climbed down the ladder himself. Excuse me?
It's true that we don't know how they got down the ladder. I suppose that matter needs further investigating. But we have proven that Mr. Terran was alive when he reached the boarding lounge. This fact alone shatters your claims, and opens up the possibility that the victim could have been killed by a third party. Well, that and also he could have climbed it down himself. There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene, but can we truly trust their statements? Let's see, the two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right?
I thought it was Fulbright.
You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police? Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging.
Oh, is this going to go to a point where Yuri being the killer seems the most obvious thing at the moment, but is that why Ted Tenate decided he had to kill Candace Arm? Is because she was beginning to figure out the truth that Yuri Cosmos did it? So are we not going to get to that point by the end of this trial? It's going to get interrupted by the bomb? That'll be interesting.
Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging.
Next time on Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, because that's incredibly all the time, but we're certainly clipping along this case, and since we're starting in the trial sequence, and I think it might have been mentioned to me that this is going to be sort of a shorter case, so we're probably blazing along here, but we're certainly not at the end yet. We don't even have Yuri Cosmos in the book yet, and he's certainly important in all this. So that's all for now! Next video on the channel is going to be some more of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom! Hell yeah! Can't wait, honestly. Tears of the Kingdom has been going so damn well. I'm enjoying the heck out of it so far. Part of me wishes that when Breath of the Wild had come out, I'd done a playthrough of it on the channel, but at the same time, that was around when I started this channel, 2017, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I'm glad I played it on my own and saved Tears of the Kingdom for the channel, because it's a very similar experience in some ways, doing the 100% of both games. But so it might have been redundant if we had already done Breath of the Wild, and that redundancy would have overshadowed the new bits of Tears of the Kingdom. But I don't even know why I'm talking about that now. Anyway, next video go on the channel is more Tears of the Kingdom, and next time here we'll be getting to. I doubt we'll be finishing this case, but we'll be getting pretty far along in it, I reckon. So that's all. Thank you so very much for coming around. Hopefully I will see you around. Admiral's gonna be out of here now. Peace. You never know when you might need to throw a book at someone. Can I dual wield them? Oh no, he is. They call me the bookman. I have books. Would you like some literature? Would you like the Lorax or Animals issue number 34? Those are the two books I've decided that I have in my